In this tutorial I will show you how I will take a basic design that I've already done for a dam basin or a storage reservoir. I will balance the cut and fill and calculate tow lines, and then calculate the final cut and fill volumes showing the balanced quantities. Now in this model I've used a surface looking at a ground surface, and I've already created a little dam basin which I will now balance and do the necessary tow line calculations. To do that, we go to tow and set up our parameters first. I want a 1:2 cut and a 1:2 fill parameter, and we're gonna set our number of tow points to 0. And doing that, I can then use the second option to say tow points at every 10 meters. Once that is set up, you press OK. Go down to terrace. We're going to go to defaults, and we must make sure that our ground surface is ground. In this case, project 1 or surface 1 is my ground triangles, and project 2 is the platform that I've already defined. Okay, so I'll just illustrate what that looks like, and I'll switch off project 1, and so you can see there it's just a simple model. We have placed points on the perimeter at every 10 meters, and then I drew the inside platform with a specified tow batter. Next we will go to cut and fill, and we will use the balance option. The program gives us a suggested interval. I will use that suggested interval and just half it, so that could be 0.75 or even 0.5 is good enough. And all the rest of the values I'll leave as is and say OK. And I'll use all the triangles option. I use this option because this is the only one that asks me, do I want to apply temporary tow lines as well. So I'll say there's no compaction at this stage, so I'll just leave this as 0. And here you get that question, calculate temporary tow lines, yes or no. Yes, I want to calculate tow lines because volumes will be part of my tow lines. Now in this calculation you'll see the program starts lift and lower the model. So red is cut and white is fill, and it does a temporary calculation of the tow line, telling us we have to add a elevation of 4.559 meters to our current design to bring this model into a balanced cut and fill scenario. So I will say yes, that's what I want. So it's important to realize that it hasn't done the tow lines yet. It just re-elevated our heights where we had 100 meters at the beginning. Now we have 104.56. Then I will go back to my tow functions and tell it I want to generate tows around all my open-sided triangles. So that's all the triangle legs on the outside of the model. It will be inspected, and then it will, based on each triangle leg, throw a tow at a 1:2 slope, and in so doing create a nice tow line around the whole model. So I'm going to say all, and we will say add new tow points. Then it asks me to generate strings. If you don't have a strings module, it will ask you if you want to add CAD lines, so you can just say yes. And I'm just using a normal solid line, calling it tow line layer and giving it a color. And I'm going to switch the elevations off. So all that it did at this stage was to place a whole lot of points. I'm going to switch the string off so you can't see the string, but the points will remain. You can see them there. And if we then go to triangles and we say C search, continue search, the triangles are generated. Now I can see some of the triangles were not created, but that's because of triangulation rules. But I will manually add them now using triangle add shortcuts. And I'll just fill the gaps manually here. Now these triangle parameters you can set up in the triangle menu under the parameters for triangles. But that's a another topic for another day. And I'm gonna just hide my triangles for a second, switch my string back on, and you can see the outside perimeter. We've got triangles on the outside, so I'll just remove that. I don't want these extra triangles on the outskirts, and we might need to add a few triangles back in there. Alright, so there's a toe, there's a toe. Maybe you need to zoom in there a bit. Alright, so that's the neutral position where there's no cut or fill. And on this side I'll do the same. Okay, this one was a little bit cleaner and easier. And then I'll use this triangle auto tool and say auto by line and just create a break line process like this, which would quite easily edit my triangles to be a little bit more realistic. Alright, let's look at that model in 3D. Alright, so there's a little bit of opacity, but you can see the model seems to be pretty good. And now I'll do my final volume calculation. Going back to terrace, cut and fill, nothing has changed, the ground is still 1, design is still 2, and I'm going to do a grid method. And I'll use the same parameters, and there you can see I've got cut of 4,700 and fill of 4,900. So there's a little bit of a shortage, and I can repeat this process and manually just lower my model, say by about 100 mils, to just introduce more cut so that we don't have to import material to fill the damn wall area.